Welcome. I'm so excited you're here with me today. My name is Cindy, and I am here with Lauren to talk to you about her transition out of teaching. Hey, Lauren, welcome. I'm so excited you're here today.
Hi, Cindy. How are you?
I am fantastic. Well, you have such a great story. Would you like to share your story with everybody?
Sure. So I was a high school English teacher for about 10 years. Actually went back and got my master's degree thinking I was going to be an administrator. And things kind of just took a shift about 2021 into 2022. And I just realized that I wasn't being challenged professionally and I needed a change. So I started looking for jobs on LinkedIn and reaching out to people, and I think I filled out probably about 200 job applications with
A
tons
lot,
of
isn't it?
rejections and some interviews here and there and some recruiter phone calls. And all that experience was great. And I posted on LinkedIn about how frustrated this process was for me. I didn't know what else to do. And there you were. Cindy came and she commented on my post. And I reached out to her. We had a 45-minute consultation call. It was wonderful. And I decided to work with Cindy, and we completely transformed everything that I was doing, trying to figure out what I actually wanted to do with my career. So I pivoted from teaching high school to a learning and development role. And we completely wiped my resume. We interviewed prep for every single interview I had with multiple companies, landed the job, and I started my corporate transition in July of 2022. So my position was training coordinator, and then about a month ago, I was promoted to HR specialist. So it's been a wild ride, but I don't regret anything. I loved being an educator, but my skills from being a teacher transitioned perfectly into this corporate world.
That is just so beautiful. So for anybody who is watching this today, Lauren's been in this job for a little over a year. She has moved up that corporate ladder outside of teaching. What were the big changes? What were the big, takeaway, feel good, wonderful things when you left teaching?
I think some of the things that helped me the most were the flexibility. Teaching for me, my specific example is that I was traveling 45 minutes each way to work. School started at 7 a.m., ended at 2 p.m. I'm waking up crazy hours, doing work outside of my paid hours. And with a corporate job, when I'm done at the end of the day, I'm done. But there's also flexibility there. I personally have two small children under the age of 4. So I can wake up super early, work. I'm able to do drop off and pick up for school. I'm able to take them to the activities. And then sometimes I'm able to log on later at night. And that flexibility has
That's
completely
amazing.
transformed our family life, but it's also transformed my mental health to the point where I'm not working 6 to 7 days a week. I'm able to close my laptop when I need to, and I can always revisit. But that has really helped, myself and our family. And that to me is the biggest life change. In addition to that, also compensation obviously has changed. My salary at my corporate job was, when I was offered my salary, it was about $35,000 more than what I was making as a teacher with 10
Fantastic.
years experience and a master's degree. So there are things out there for teachers that are looking to transition. For me, it was a hard transition because I felt like I was lost and I really didn't know what I was doing. Because teachers are just a completely different breed of people where we are so skilled and we are doing so many things at once and we are so organized. And I think people overlook those things because, well, you've never been in corporate before, but everything translates. So I was at a FinTech company, and I didn't know anything about financial technology or banking. And I was learning, and I'm still learning things along the way. And people are teaching me. And I got to talk to some of the brightest minds in the industry, which was just so wonderful. And I loved that they saw my personality and my skill set that I already had And we're like, oh, that's fine. We can just teach her X, Y, and Z, and then she'll be, great for this company, a great asset. And that's what ended up happening. So
Such an inspiring story. And I remember they were so kind and patient with you in the beginning. Like, it's okay. It's gonna take time to learn, to learn, the finances, and that's okay. And were even able to improve um, their onboarding process and training because of the knowledge that you had as a teacher.
yes, because I was one of the people at that time that had no banking or financial technology background. So the things I was learning to understand the foundation of the company was a completely different language to me. So then what the transition was after that was that then I took over the onboarding program, and I was able to see it through the eyes of someone like myself that had no idea what any of these things meant and what does it actually mean. I think sometimes with onboarding programs and training, we have this preconceived notion that people understand certain things. And I was one of those people that did
Correct.
not. So I was able to use that kind of lack of knowledge to help build the program and revise it so that new people coming in didn't have that experience, the same experience that I did. And I just learned a lot along the way. And I was able to impact, I think, 150 new hires
That's
through
awesome.
this process, which is wonderful. And I still get that connection with people. We're still meeting each day. I'm still training them. I'm still answering questions. And I would always say, full transparency, if I don't know the answer, I'm going to find it for you. And that helped me connect with tons of people within the company that I probably would have never talked to otherwise. So I was
That
being
is the
to,
smartest answer that you can give, and
yeah,
the most honest, and never making things up, and finding out the answer, getting back to people. That's how you build trust.
exactly. I know that I know a lot of things, but I don't know everything. So, and I'm willing to admit that. So it was great to develop relationships with people, my colleagues that I was working with, and other management and, C-level executives, to get answers for people for questions that they had. And then in turn, that also gives me the knowledge because, I don't have the answer. So then we're both learning things at the same time, which is great.
I hope that everyone who's listening is hearing how Lauren has, number one, was able to revise their onboarding system, coming in straight as a teacher with a fresh set of eyes.
Yep.
Number two, how she's been able to connect with leaders, C-suite executives, and through her honesty, her personality, her work ethic, and has risen in that company.
And it transitioned also into me and another colleague co-hosting our company all hands meetings bi-monthly. So
Nice.
we took over the slide decks and transformed everything. And myself and another person in HR were able to collaborate and put these together for the entire company, and talking with management, talking with engineers, talking with our people in banking to put together presentations. So it was knowledge that was easy to digest. I think sometimes company all hands meetings can be a little bit dry, a little bit dull. Just seems like something that you're obligated and mandated to do. You have to go to this meeting, but we got a lot of great feedback about how we were this dynamic duo and we fed off of each other, and it was actually a good meeting that people look forward to, which is really what you want.
What a great compliment.
Yeah,
What a
I
great compliment,
thought
right?
so too.
Right? For things people don't normally want to go to, like those weekly meetings.
Yeah, I thought so. And from there, I was able to transition even more into offering more things to create this company culture. So, in addition to co-hosting the company All Hands, that also company culture events, hosted an Oktoberfest, a Cinco de Mayo party, a walking challenge to get people up and moving. So, I was really trying to continue to build that community just with adults, because I used to do it with high school students and I loved that, and that was my passion, was building this trust and community and rapport with people. And I was able to take those ideas and that creativity and just move it into my corporate job.
I love how you've taken the best part of what you enjoy doing from
Yeah.
teaching and transition that to your corporate job.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And I really, like what I'm doing now.
which is fantastic. That's what we all want.
Right.
So coming back to getting this job, how did I help you out? What was it like when we worked together?
Our meetings were always packed to the brim with things to do, which was fantastic. We obviously started with the resume, but it's not just your resume. It's not just your cover letter. It's all the stuff in between. You know, Cindy, you had these modules that I would watch of all these different things, and I would listen to it in the background, like kind of as like a podcast while I was cleaning, of things that I realized I was doing wrong and why just sending out applications wasn't really getting me anywhere. Meeting with you, you have this kind of no BS attitude, which is fantastic in the best way possible, because it really helped me to hold myself accountable. Because you can get sometimes in this headspace when you're applying for jobs and you're getting rejections or you're getting nothing, radio silence, where you can just kind of fall into this poor me? Why is this happening to me? I'm a great candidate. Why is nobody reaching out to me? And that's really bad. And that's not going to help you find a position. You really have to just keep pushing and just realize that the rejections mean that you're just one step closer to actually finding what you want. So in addition to the resumes, we did cover letters, and you were just able to put into words everything that I had in my brain, but on paper. Us being able to talk and you just being constantly available, which is very difficult to do, was so wonderful that you would shift your schedule around and we would prep for every single interview. And you would ask me the questions that I knew were coming, but that I wasn't prepared for. So that when I eventually got to the interview and they asked those same questions, I knew exactly what I was going to say. Sometimes people freeze up because they don't know how to put their experience into the correct words. And every interview, I was confident and ready to go. I knew that I had it, and that's because we prepped. You know, you were a constant in my life at that time where I knew I could talk to you about any feelings I was experiencing, whether it was my resume or, you know, I thought I flopped an interview question. You were always there to provide encouragement, but also being realistic in certain moments, which is really helpful. I love the tough love. I think I give tough love, so I like receiving it too. But it was in such a great way that helped me become more motivated to actually search and find what I wanted to do with my career after I left teaching.
Thank you so incredibly much. I was so delighted to work with you, and I am legitimately so proud of every single one of my clients, right? This really is a one-on-one.
And it felt very personal. And I know I've had some people also reach out to me after because I left you recommendation and, you know, is she worth the money? Those kinds of things. And when you're a teacher, we all know that teachers are not making very large salaries. So it almost feels like every penny that you have is already accounted for. And when I found you and we talked about what it would look like to work together, I was like, this is 100% worth the money, because this is going to help me build my career outside of the field of education. And at that point, I'm like, this money is set aside to help my future. And I think that you have to think about it in that way, of more of like an investment than just like, oh, I have to pay this person, because it was like you were an investment in my life, and you still are, because, you know, we still have this relationship, which is so great.
Absolutely. Do you have any final words of advice for transitioning teachers?
Just don't give up, and definitely lean into the network that you have, and don't be afraid to reach out to people, because 9 times out of 10, people want to help people. You know, I had people reach out to me after I transitioned asking, can we meet for a virtual coffee? Can we chat on LinkedIn? Do you have 5 minutes for a phone call? I just have some questions. And even if you are a stranger, I am willing to help out, because I remember being in that position and I remember those feelings so deeply. So don't give up hope. You have the skill set to transition into any position outside of teaching. And if you need extra help, Cindy is for you. So that's my words of wisdom. I'm sure I have more, but that's just what comes to top of mind right now.
It has been such a pleasure chatting with you, and I wish you continued
Thank
success.
you. You as well.